What's up, beautiful people, and welcome to another video where I say words and you listen. It is I, your majestic Bostonian, your steward of Gondor, your genius billionaire playboy, basic YouTuber philanthropist, SuperCliff. Thank you, people. Thank you. Please sit down. You guys are the best. And if you like what you see /here, then hit that like and subscribe button, for every little bit helps in this YouTube world. And today we are covering Shang-Chi, issue number 2, written by the glorious Jean-Lun Lang and drawn by Dyke Ron and Phil Tan. And our story begins with a flashback, taking us back 15 years at Zhang Zu's retreat in Hunan, China. And it's here where we are given a recollection of Shang-Chi and Sister Hammer's childhood, who at the time was known as Chi-Hu. And here a young Shang-Chi and his little sister are on the search for crystal cakes. And after breaking through a door in which Chi-Hu warns Chang that they've been strictly forbidden to enter, the two venture through and come across a room full of dead bodies. Which is typical because, you know, when you're a young kid, it's only a matter of time before you venture into a room that's filled with dead bodies. I digress. And as the two youngsters begin freaking the fuck out, as they should, Zhang Zu shows up from behind with a very, very upset face due to his children having disobeyed his orders. And like how any father should, Zhang immediately begins choking Shang-Chi. However, off to the side, Chi-Hu begins to cry, for obvious reasons of course, as she lifts up a wooden hammer, begging her father to release her brother. And boom, like a badass out of hell, Chi-Hu strikes her father to protect Shang-Chi. Now, of course, this only ensues the wrath of Zhang Zu, as he refers to Chi-Hu as a daughter of dirt. However, before Zhang Zu can kill Chi, Chang intervenes, promising his father that if he spares his sister, then he will offer his unconditional obedience. This would later be marked as the last day Chang would see his sister. 4 days later, Chang is upset, for he has yet to see his sister since the last. Chang's father takes notice of this and informs his son that he too had a younger sibling. However, men like Zhang Zu cannot afford human bonds to intervene in his mission, and neither can such bonds sway Shang-Chi. Therefore, Zhang Zu informs his son that he should take comfort in knowing that his sister has been taken care of. But the term taken care of can be quite broad, especially when it's said from the mouth of Zhang Zu. Therefore, all these years, Chang took the meaning that his father had instead given Chi-Hu a painless death. But fast forward to the present, and clearly a suspected fate was not the case, as we pick up with Shang-Chi along with his MI6 agent Liquid Wu, who are en route outside of London towards Sister Hammer's location, which according to the pair's intel, the attackers from the previous issue originated from the House of the Deadly Staff. Now, unfortunately for Li Kuei-Wu, Shang-Chi has, without her knowing, programmed their ship's autopilot to take her back to headquarters. For Chang explains that this is a family issue, and to be quite frank, MI6 doesn't necessarily have the best track record when involving Chang's family. And it's with that where Chang jumps out of the ship to face this danger alone. However, it appears Sister Hammer is already anticipating her brother's arrival. Sister Hammer then launches her hammer, taking out Chang's parachute in the process. But luckily, thanks to some slick kung fu moves, Chang is able to land properly without, dying. A couple of the Deadly Weapons Society soldiers show up to converge on Chang's supposed location. Unfortunately for these dudes, they're about to get their asses handed to them by the motherfucking master of kung fu. Once Shang-Chi mops the floor with his sister's men, Sister Hammer eventually shows up to confront her long-lost brother. But surprisingly, she doesn't attempt to even dismember Chang, for instead the two siblings embrace one another with a lovely hug. Aww, that's cute. Later at the House of the Deadly Staff, both Chang and Sister Hammer treat themselves with some delicious food, including some crystal cakes. Afterwards, Chang wonders as to what happened. Sister Hammer takes Chang into the other room, showing him their father's shrine. Sister Hammer then begins to explain that their father went by various names throughout his life, along with his organization, whether it was called the Order of the Golden Dawn or the Order of the Heidel. But in the end, its original name was the Five Weapons Society, and that their childhood home in Hunan, China was known as the House of the Deadly Hand, for it's one of the society's 5 major houses, as is the one that they are currently in. Sister Hammer then reveals to Chang, the night after the last time they saw each other, she was sent to the House of the Deadly Hammer in Russia. There she spent years training to become the ultimate champion. However, Chang cuts off his sister, as he reveals to her that their father's quote-unquote mission to save the world was basically all bullshit, and that in truth, there's a real world out there that's way better than the life they were brought up in. For that's the reason as to why Chang came all this way to rescue his sister. Sister Hammer then shows Shang-Chi the flame at their father's shrine, for the flame sits on the symbol of the deadly hand, not the hammer. For even after death, at the hands of Shang-Chi, their father still chooses his son. Suddenly, Chang starts to feel weird. For surprise, Shang-Chi, for you have been poisoned by the crystal case." And as Shang-Chi is slowly dying, Sister Hammer reveals to her older brother that she needs their father's spirit to legitimize her as the Society's supreme commander. Therefore, the only way to accomplish said task is to kill Shang-Chi. Eventually, once Shang-Chi is succumbed from the poison's effect, it seems that Shang Tzu's spirit doesn't want his son to die. Therefore, the spirit awakens Chang, and as our hero begins to wake up, while scaring the shit out of a pair of the Society's medical staff, he is suddenly attacked by a group of zombified clones of Chang's father. Now sadly, Chang isn't quite 100% combat efficient to combat such foes. Therefore, one of the zombies manages to cut Chang by throwing its zombified hand. However, Chang doesn't bleed your typical red blood, but rather cosmic star-like liquid, as if he's bleeding the night sky. Weird. But don't worry folks, because Brother Saber and Sister Dagger swoop in to save Shang-Chi from the sinister zombies. But whilst that's all happening, Shang-Chi once more blacks out. Later, Chang wakes up alongside Brother Saber and Sister Dagger, who are rowing a rowboat across a vast, mystified ocean, for they are en route to meet with Master Ling, whom apparently will deal with Chang's current predicament. And as Chang looks out across the distance, the dead spirit of his father is shown floating amongst the dark sky, telling his son to come and visit. Spooky! Shang-Chi issue number 2 was another awesome issue which continued in furthering Marvel's reintroduction of Shang-Chi and that of his renovated comic book lore. Now, what I found most intriguing in this issue was the flashback with a young Shang-Chi and a young Sister Hammer. I felt that this segment was perfectly done in regards to showing us, the readers, as to why Chang feels the need to rescue his sister. And although we're aware Sister Hammer is the bad guy, we're also shown as to why Sister Hammer is so determined to essentially kill Shang-Chi, which was really sad to see. Because basically, if it weren't for Shang-Chi's ignorance, then perhaps Sister Hammer wouldn't have been so indoctrinated within Shang-Chi's organization. So yeah, definitely a sympathetic villain here, and Jean Yang thus far is hitting all the right notes. The art in this issue is also another wonderful gem to behold. I really dig the fact that within this mini run, we're getting 2 fantastic artists for the price of 1. Philip Tan's style for the flashbacks add this sort of ancient tale-like vibe to it, which really adds a sense of mythic fantasy, and it honestly pumps my creative nipples to the max. Yep, I said it, and I'm not going to take it back. So yeah, listen folks, if you haven't yet, definitely check out this series, because so far it's coming along quite nicely. Shang-Chi issue number 2 gets a 9 out of 10. Giggity goo. Alright.